So here in this section, we're going to work on some special cases. So what I mean by special cases is when the last term has a variable, the middle term has two variables. So those are what I mean by special cases. So let's take a look at the first term and the third term. Are they both positive? Positive here, positive there, so we good. Move on to the next step. Is 4x squared a perfect square? Is 9y squared a perfect square? Both of them, let's look at the number. 4 and 9. 4 and 9, they are indeed perfect square. Let's look at the variable. X squared, y squared. So basically, they're perfect squares, especially when they have 2 as the exponent. So, if they're positive, if they're both perfect squares, we're going to do square root of both of them. Alright, the square root of 4x squared will be 2x. The square root of 9y squared will be 3y. So, once we finish finding the square root, take a look at the middle term. So, the first term, 2x, times the third term, which is 3y, and then times 2. So, 2x times 3y, that is, I'm going to write step by step, 6xy times 2. So 6xy times 2, that will become 12xy. So it does match with the middle term, so I'm going to use 2x, 3y. So here is the first term, here is the third term, in parentheses and square. What's in front of the middle term, plus, will be in the middle of the final answer. And then I'm going to box it up. So our final answer is 2x plus 3y squared. Now what's different is, since there's a variable on the first term and on the third term, there's going to be a variable on the first part of the answer and the last part of the answer. As you can see how you have two variables in our final answer. So, as long as the first and third term are positive perfect squares and it matches to the middle term, you can do this process and get a final answer, 2x plus 3y squared. Alright, in our second example we have 16m squared, that's the first term, minus 24mn plus 9n squared, the third term. So they both have variables, and you can see there's two variables in the middle term. Now let's check. It's positive, positive, 16 and 9, perfect square, m square, n square, they are also perfect square. So positive perfect square, we're going to do the square root of both of them. So the square root of m squared will be 4m. The square root of 9n squared will be 3n. Alright? So next we're going to check the middle term. So the first term, 4m times 3n times 2. So I'm going to do 4m times 3n, which will be 12mn, then times 2. So this 2 is from over there. So 12mn times 2 will be 24mn, which does indeed match. So I'm going to use 4m and 3n in our final answer. So 4m and 3n with parentheses and the square. And then what's in front of the middle term will be in the middle of the final answer. So 4m minus 3n squared. So that will be our final answer. So again, our final answer is 4m minus 3n squared. Alright, in our third example, we have 25e squared minus 60ef plus 36f squared. So, first term, third term, both positive. 25 and 36, perfect squares. E squared, f squared, also perfect squares. So positive perfect square, we're good to go. So the square root of the first one, square root of the third. So the square root of 25e squared will be 5e. The square root of 36f squared will be 6f. Alright, let's check the middle term. So 5e times 6f times 2. So 5e times 6f, that will be 30 EF, and then I'm going to bring the 2. So 30 EF times 2 will be 60 EF. So it does match. So we're going to use the first term and the last term, or also known as the third term, 5E and 6F. And what's in front of the middle term will be in the middle of the final answer. So include parenthesis and the square. So that will be our final answer. (5e minus 6f squared). Alright, in our fourth example, we have 49a squared plus 140ab plus 100b squared. First term, third term. 49 and 100, they're both positive, so we're good. Let's move on to the next part. 49 and 100, they're both perfect squares. A squared, b squared, also perfect square. So these two are positive perfect square. We're good to go. So the square root of both of them. The square root of 49a squared will become 7a. The square root of 100b squared will be 10b. Alright, next, we're going to check the middle term. So the first term, 7a, times the third term, 10b, times 2. So 7a times 10b, that will be 70ab, and then I'll bring over the 2. So 70ab times 2, that will become 140ab. Alright, so it does matches with the middle term. So we're going to use 7a and 10b. So 7a and 10b with parentheses and square. Now, what's in front of the middle term will be in the middle of the final answer. So, since there was a plus in the middle term, then we're going to put plus in the final answer. So, our final answer is 7a plus 10b squared. So, that will be the final answer. Now, just to review, in this special cases, we have variables on both of them, and then also we were using different letters. So in this example, we used A and B. In the previous example, we had M and N, well, E and F, and then the one before that was M and N. So as long as they're perfect squares, you can still work with them regardless of what variables you have, what numbers you have, as long as they all perfect squares and positive. So if they are indeed positive, all of them are perfect square, then you can use this process for all of them.